Итак, мы продолжаем играть в диско Elysium. Короче говоря, вот это вот задание. Второе это с острова проверить траекторию. Это надо по сюжету будут. А пока что ничего. А, ловушки проверить я хотел еще, да? Снова.
The trap is for poor things.
Ага. Так, первое. Так, ну тут ничего. Давайте зайдем, проверим траекторию выстрела. К Руби мы не будем пока что подходить. Может снова с ней поговорить.
I see you haven't left our little Martinez yet. Still running around. Like some kind of cross-country... Hi. I guess you do. You're back? Good. Oh. A takeover? Taking it.
Green livery, changing into red, like a cancer of the...
Then we're talking about a war. Everard needs to let me into the harbour at once. We need to talk about this. An insane goal. Cornell has 1,000 men on their payroll. The next...
I've seen the Union's forces. They're better organized than these mercenaries. It will take more than Cornell to wipe them out. Wild Pines will need to send more and better equipped men. I am sure you have the money. The question is, how many...
What do you suggest I do? Everything affects the decision-making process, Detective.
Officer?
Like the previous leaders of the Union were assassinated. I admit there's some poetry in the idea, and like poetry, it's also useless. There would still be Edgar. They factored it in. What will I do? Did I ever tell you how they discovered this Isola? During our reality lowdown? It may be the only break we've ever caught as a species. The last one for 400 years. The nations who colonized this Isola called theirs Muindi, the world. It was all they knew, all they thought would be. The Pale was thought to be impregnable, perpetual. Irene la Navigateur, the Queen of Suren, sent 8 expeditions. It was anything but normal. There was no precedent, until after years of trial and error, and the development of a strict...
called Volta Doma.
The 8th expedition returned sane and intact. They told of a new continent of matter. They told slowly raining down.
The air is cold and there are rain circles on water all around. So does the lieutenant. The droplets feel warm, like...
The phenomenon has never again been encountered. For a time, the crew thought they were experienced, but they could not. They were sane and conscious, as islands began to appear.
You've thought it a million times.
A total shift in human comprehension of reality. On the 4 years later, the Queen's Counsellor was proclaimed Her Innocence Dolores Day, the elected world spirit, the age of humanism, the first living autonomous organism, proof of reality. It's the symbol of Insulinde, Detective. In your defense, it is a nasty creature who plucks food from the throats of lesser birds. Yet much like Revachol, on Caillou, the Pebble, the largest of the fertile the nations of Mundi proceeded to discover 5 more Isola, but these others weren't uninhabited. We had to kill people there. There was no one but the Skua, the Liliat Sea, and the Blood Beach, and the River Esperance. It was the new world revolution. poverty. And it is.
The gangs will run wild, jacking motor carriages, ferrying amphetamines through Coal City. Spring is tough.
I will surrender Terminal B to the U.
She puts her hand in.
We
Это
will
шо,
see.
не.
Ma'am,
Надо
this may well
расстрел.
unravel
Бах, бах,
property
шах,
laws
шах.
this side of the river. If that occurs, we may never see the end of this kind of confrontation.
What happens will happen. The age of capital has only begun. I will talk to my employers in person. We will amputate and court. Yes, Mr. Clare has a 2-month head start. I can't let it grow any bigger. And I've exhausted all my options.
You know what this lady needs? Some political advice. Even though she...
Подожди, сейчас все будет. Заново диалог 1000 повторять.
I see you haven't left up high.
Вау. Ща. Так. Там было же что-то на риторику, нет? Вот. И все, да. Да.
You're back. Good. Oh. A takeover. Taking.
green like a cat.
Then we're talking about a war. Everett needs an insane.
I've seen. It will take. I am
What do you suggest I do? Everything.
officer.
Так, ну-ка. А если... Блин, это просто будет глобальный геноцид? Я не знаю. Если вот это вот выбрать.
Such a thing isn't in my character. What will I do? Did I ever tell you how they discovered this east? It may be the nation, the pale. It was until
Called vol.
the 8x slow
There are rains, so the droplet.
the phenomenon that they could
You've thought it a million.
a total 4 years later the Queen's Counselor, the first in your defense, it on Caillou. The nation but these there was no one but the skewer revolution. Poverty. It is.
The gangs will run wild.
I will surrender Terminal.
She put
We will see
Ma'am,
what happened. The age of capital has only begun.
Опа.
Yes, Mr. Clare has a 2-month head.
there are no employers. She's a member of the board.
You are the citizens' militia. There are no superiors.
that's right, detective. And next time, you should confer with them.
Despite his words, events are already in motion. Whether your actions accelerated or momentarily retarded their progress, even the lieutenant cannot really say.
Here I am. I am the face, and I'm here to answer. Rejoice, Leighton.
Это все, ну ладно.
Keep the peace.
How far along is Cronell's in
A confrontation is imminent. As your investigation reaches a climax, so does theirs. They are your shadow. Protect their targets. Violence may be soon. I do not know precisely. One last thing, Lieutenant Dubois. I've given the matter I know, because I, too, am insane. I just hide my illness better. And no, Detective.
Don't worry, madame. I am very sick.
I'm overexposed, baby. My travels take me through the Pale dozens of times a year.
She would die to return to it. The pale, the past.
The same strict psychological regimen the 8th Admiral developed when he crossed the Pale and discovered this Isola. The vaulted...
You could use a little of it yourself.
Watch out for yourselves. They will strike soon.
The lieutenant watches her boat grow. You wonder what ever. Slowly, the sails turn grey.
Ну все, так. Готово. Тречка навыков есть. Ну-ка, если я типа забуду вот это Типа у меня станет восприятие 1. А, нет. Это лимит улучшения, насколько можно улучшить его. Ну пофиг. Угу. Так, сохранится. Опа. Даже не знаю, что изучать. Давайте это усвоим. Подумал я. Да-да. Ну ладно, так. Так, теперь что нам дальше делать? Орудие убийства возьмите, ага. Определите. Так, ну давайте попробуем зайти в эту к Руби, типа, но не будем выполнять ее задание, типа, еще. Найти ее, я имею в виду. Там немножко пройдемся, залутаемся и все такое. Сюда, да. Опять этот.
An old pipe. Your eyes slowly begin. The lieutenant looks over your shoulder. The pipe is as your eyes are, and
Given, however, and it's
oh yeah, big boy time.
Понятно.
This needs you. The metal.
good work.
Так, хорошо. Так, хорошо. Сейчас тут где-то еще секретное помещение какое-то. Так, ну сначала наверх можно подняться. Так, ну там вроде ничего нет. Ну да, это выход. Это мысли есть. Мгм. Я надеюсь, все не начнется от того, что я просто захотел сходить из здания исследовать.
This isn't just glass. Yes, filament memory. The how, the why is easy.
So it is. I think these used to form a the rest of the building. These? No.
Скульптурочка, внушение. У меня так-то и так уже есть этот. Так, сюда, да? Опа. Тут шапочка.
A mustachioed and mutton-chopped man. Years, someone
Some radical or radicals. Half a century? I think the purpose of this. We have found a lot of those lately. I guess millions of depictions. I won't stand in your way. You mean like Ruby?
Так,
could this have been the killer's hideout? And this narrow window, this does look like an embrasure. Outside the window, another day.
It's a great place to hide. And Mazovianism and murder are certainly not mutually exclusive. But there hasn't been anyone here in it, indeed. No one could get a clear view. Well, in fact, I think we're done with this bunker.
так, следовательно, стреляли все-таки с острова, ну либо с крыши. Так, ну туда что, не идем пока что? Все. Подход. Так, может это... Вот так. Опа, мысль появилась.
This hat is so soft, so warm. Kraz, glory to the revolution.
Так, ладно, возьми мою это... Вот это. Ладно, не вот это. Не знаю, нужен ли где-то вообще этот
A
меч.
few low poor things.
Так, ну тут вот ловушка еще. Так, и остается, по-моему,
The trap is
последняя
filled
где-то.
with poor things.
Эту посмотрел. Вначале я смотрел, не помню. По-моему, смотрел. Так, 2 есть, их всего 4, да? Вроде бы, если я ничего не путаю. Сейчас тут по берегу еще пройдемся, пробежимся. Так, ну там ничего. Вот тут вот у нас встреча будет, да, в 22:00. Правда, дождаться бы еще до этого времени. Думаю, вскоре мы пойдем книгами
An
закопаться
old
просто.
door, worn by element.
From here to the whirling, I can't see how. The church is in the way.
Техника невозможна. Ну, да, тут проверка красная, да? Жаль. Только, а если я вот так вот? Да не сюда. Так. Так.
An old door, worn by elements. Guards, you rattle the handle a bit, then push.
We don't get in there. Frankly, you're just going...
No. We've gotten into every door thus far. That's what we do. We open doors. We're cops. That's our...
Yeah, I understand you. I like opening doors as much as the next guy. Relax. No one's hiding in there.
At least you can think about opening it. About doors in general.
Еще одна дверь. Только так. Окей. Так, ну это, по-моему, последняя.
Just dead and dying locusts. Poor things.
Да, никого, ничего. Так. Окей. Так, нет, не надо. Где этот воскресный бритвер, который по берегу гуляет? Где мне его искать-то? По-вашему? Может, тут он, не знаю, на льдине где-то гуляет. О, мысль. Что за
You
мысль?
see that seagull up there?
Чайка.
Remind you of anybody? You think about the seagull's story. It's one of endurance. Then their paradise became Shit City. And what did they do? They became no time for that sentimental bullshit. They're hustlers, getting shit done. They're one pair of track pants away from gangsters. Just like you. You have. The body
Ладно.
remembers. Own it. Steal hot dogs. Shit in the sand. Whatever it takes to keep.
Окей, окей. Еще что-то? Ким. Ну-ка, подожди. Что? Я все проебал где-то. Ну и ладно. Опа, нашел. Вот тут вот она где-то. Баклан какой-то. Вот он, да? Нет, это просто херня. Ладно. Я должен искать этого друга. Где он? Где квест? Я забыл. А вот. На прогулку вдоль побережья. Тут не написано, что по времени. Написано на прогулку только. Ну ладно. Не знаю, вот с этим еще поговорить. Там что-то еще. Плакат видел.
Hello. Isn't this a fine morning?
Байк. Понятно. Возможно, он сюда куда-нибудь забрел. К трупу, я не знаю. Труп, кстати, унесли. Да.
There's some tear.
Все, тут вроде больше ничего. Ай. Как же все трудно. О, вон мужик стоит. И как мы к нему подойдем? Ну да, точно, обход. Так, еще раз.
As you approach, the man turns and he appears completely at
Ah, super. It's the officer. What brings you down to the scenic Martinez coast? Well, that's très simple. I was visiting the fishing village just north of here. And then, well, I had some extra time on my hands, so I decided to stroll down here. It's quite peaceful, isn't it? Really? Here? How can you be sure? Ah? Is that what those pockmarks are? I might have guessed.
You feel like there's something you could say here. If only you really
Ah bon? I'm all ears, officer. And then, well, I had some extra time on my... Ah? Is that what...
you feel like
Ah bon? And then... Really? Ah, a very useful gift for a police detective, I'm sure.
you feel like this.
Ah bon? And then, well, yes. There's nothing like a stroll along the... Ah bon?
Sure.
And then, well, you know what they say. In matters of... Ah bon? I'm all ears, officer. My friend, if it's la responsabilité you're after, I have...
God, of course.
The Comité de responsabilité de Revachol. It acts as a sort of clearinghouse for coalition activities. To put it simply,
Yes, this is just.
I would offer to connect you with the committee myself, but...
What? Where is he then? He's speaking figuratively. He means he's not in Martinez in his official capacity.
Précisément. Officially, I am... That's why it would be extremely irregular, or potentially even inappropriate for me to intercede with the committee concerning a district I'm not officially in. Well,
In other words, the committee only knows.
but if you have information of a vital interest, they might be willing to entertain an exception. In which case, I would advise you to contact them via Coalition Warship. You see, in addition to being an airborne artillery platform, Coalition Warship Archer is also the link and listening. It has the most objective vantage point in the entire city. I find it a great comfort to know there are benevolent powers watching over all, in strict accordance with the... This is quite the problem. Very tricky. Of course, but in that case, you would require a radio transmitter capable of broadcast. I suppose there might be some way to circuit bend your way onto those frequencies, but unauthorized circuit bending is a very serious matter with grave security implications.
Sounds like something that programmer we met in the church.
Let me just say that I have complete confidence in the RCM. Always my pleasure to be of assistance.
Окей, я думал, мне в церковь больше не надо будет возвращаться. Так, а что по заданиям еще? Ага. Это я вообще не знаю где. Ну-ка так, сейчас. Так, продолжаем. Короче, вот это в конце игры. И вот это тоже где-то там, на острове каком-то. Короче, пока что это мы не трогаем. Вот и все. Побежали мы в церковь.
Yes, what is it? You're asking me to circuit bend onto coalition radio frequencies. The main difficulty will be finding an antenna powerful enough to reach those.
She's not joking. Even the RCM has to receive special approval from the coalition to access that.
I highly doubt it. That tower is barely able to transmit shortwave signals across the bay.
She has an idea, though.
I don't see any alternative. We're just going to have to build the antenna ourselves. Because it's a completely different class of antenna. It would be like using a high-end racing car. We need metal, a lot of it. The taller the structure, the better. Something that is both prominent and easily accessible. If it's near a power source, even better.
Close your
Если
eyes.
эти хардкоры
Unfold
чем-то
your
помогают.
mental map of mud. The wind pushes a piece of tear across the cracked tiles. From the north comes the malicious laughter of two. Beyond the unkempt backyard rises from behind you, a low speck. Your eye follows the tiles west. The voice again. More. You turn around. The morning sun is blinding.
The dead king and his horse. We'll need an adequate power supply and a great quantity of cable. If we connect the cables to some...
Whatever ambivalence she had about your project before, she's now fully engaged in solving this technical puzzle.
It's completely ridiculous, but I believe we could
A note of awe in her voice.
Yes. Very likely the large... I have plenty of cables and amplifiers on hand. The power supply, I will secure on my own. I cannot answer that for you, but if you have real to spare, you might even be able to buy one.
And before you ask, no, you can't have the radio from Makinema.
В офисе рядом с портом.
Certainly, though it requires a fair amount of technical finesse to remove them. Frankly, it's not worth the bother. That sounds like a perfectly adequate radio. Absolutely not. My reign prefect is my livelihood. If something were to go wrong, it would be it possibly. It's worth a look at the list. In the meantime, I will gather the rest of the materials.
Понятно. В офисе рядом с портом. Погнали, сходим. Бегать туда-сюда я устал, конечно, уже. Ой, так. Экс. Ох.
The trap is poor things.
Понятно. Ну-ка. Так, ладно, я что-то хотел посмотреть, но, видимо, нет ничего. Окей, ладно.
Oh, look.
Ничего нового. Так, мне туда.
Looking for something on?
Что-то было только что. Оп. Понятно. Ну-ка, кстати. Ничего не появится. Что это? Ладно, их тащит. Понятно. Да, ладно. Так, может вот тут вот в офисе-то. Во, вот это, да?
A common office radio, like any of those found in countless.
There's usually a little switch somewhere. Ah, yes, it's the one that...
The lock disengages with a nice click. There's nothing obviously remarkable about it. It's about the sun. If this transceiver were a person, it would be an accountant at a large...
Very good.
The transceiver appears glad to be of service.
You've surprised me more than once during the course of our investigation. But I have to say, it's still...
With its transceiver gone, the rate...
Я мог, конечно, так далеко и не бегать, просто зайти купить. Все-таки богатый, молодой. Но нет, решил забрать у них. Надо было. Значит, теперь в церковь обратно бежать, да? Да. Потом меня отправят, наверное, туда снова. Не знаю, настроить эту антенну. Присоединить все может. Я надеюсь, что не направит никто меня туда. Обратно бежать. А я же все равно обратно побегу. Мне тут на этом берегу делать нечего. Разве что к Руби идти и дальше задание продолжать. Я хочу свой пистолет сначала заиметь обратно. Перед всем этим. Ну, правда, навык стрельбы у него такой себе. Ну ладно.
Yes, what is it? Ah, very good. Let's see what you have. Not the most advanced model, but at least everything appears...
No further comment.
I believe that means we're ready to get started. I should warn you, once we begin setting up this antenna, so if there's anything you'd like to get in order before we depart, I suggest you do it now. That's up to you. At a minimum, I would make sure you are fit.
At the very least, you should make sure.
Radio engineers typically carry overpriced solvent sprays to clean the antenna connections.
It's the alcohol.
Finally, there's the question of stimulants. Some people prefer to keep legal amphetamines on hand to help with their work. I'm not one of them, but they do exist. I don't take them because they make me nauseous. But everyone has their reasons. I don't judge. Ah, yes. I wasn't sure what to do about that, but then...
It's obvious. She's referring to your half-sunken Caprice 40.
Oh, yes. I did notice that it was covered in police livery. My intention is to run a power cable from the engine up to the antenna. It won't last forever, but it should give us enough time to establish a connection with Coalition warship Archer. Very good. If you'll...
Back across the water lab. At least we are getting our exits.
If you'll please carry that amplifier, officer. And if you'll take that spool of cable, we should be able to move it all in one trip.
Машину, кстати, никто так и не стал разбирать по частям за неделю. Притом труп они раздели. Ну ладно. Найс, интересно, как они разобрали его просто на виду у всех. Ладно.
And now if you'll just...
It's done. I believe we are ready.
We're ready to try at least. Please put on these headphones. There should be 2 extra sets. I've configured the channels so that only your mic... You will need to transmit your connection request while I attempt to locate the warship's public frequency. You will likely... Then it will be exactly like every other moment of every other day. I ask again. Good. Beginning transmission.
Притащить только из-за прихоти его. Ну ладно.
A soft rustling between your ears, a winterscape with fast falling, every light switch, every motor carriage, every doorbell.
Officer, are you in order? We're waiting for you to start.
The lieutenant looks up at you
Gotcha.
with a nervous glance. Nervous for who, though? You cannot say.
Try again, officer.
Perhaps you're simply imagining it, but it seems as though you're learning to...
Nein, Liebling, das lasse ich nicht zu. Marianne, mir empfiehlt, dass Oscar nicht mehr...
You can't make out a word of this gibberish.
Liebling, bitte.
It's very likely, based on what we've recently learned. In the meantime, you must keep trying. Again?
It's gone now.
A slight frisson at the point where your neck meets your spine. Something about the lieutenant's words directed at you.
I didn't say anything.
Someone has been maintaining it.
An uncomfortable
It's been a long winter. Long and cold.
I can assure you it's not my twin brother, though it's certainly...
Yes. A particularly eerie...
Right. I just wish I could remember what I was talking about.
Natürlich halten ihn die Psychologen für vollkommen...
What else is there to do? Keep trying.
But someone has been maintaining it. Dubois? Liebling, bitte. Where's the bastard?
The signals are getting increasingly mixed. Plucking Archer's signal from this.
It's not working. The crosstalk is simply too strong. I did not expect simply locating the... We must consider several variables. Local entroponetic conditions. Our transceiver is perfectly capable. And we're also unlikely to change our local entroponetic conditions. You need to climb up there and look at them for yourself.
But you don't have...
Someone has been maintaining...
Come on, son. This isn't anything but a common high bar. Just get a solid
That's true, but I can't leave my station, so it will have to be you. Then you might break your neck.
Даже проверки никакой не надо. Ладно. Интересно, как он прополз. Ладно.
Your gloves give you a solid grip on the metal bar. This feels pleasingly familiar.
Че, перчатки
Keep it
всякие
together,
помогли?
champ. You've got this.
Еще выше. Он выглядит, будто бы сейчас упадет. Я про статую. Да, как бы... Ладно. Телефон.
And before you know it, you're safely perched atop the monument. The connection itself is nothing more than a little braid of exposed wire. The whole monument is covered in a thin but durable layer of oil and grime. The programmer mentioned ammonia, but anything alcohol.
Well, do you see anything? Damn, I was afraid of that. And short of changing the shape of the antenna, I'm not sure what else we can do from here. And the lorries are all jammed together, so that's unlikely to happen. Ideally, narrow the receiving mode so that we can isolate the warship signal and eliminate... What do you mean? I'm afraid...
She's right. The responsibility is yours, and
Немыслимо.
yours alone. There's no turning. You are face to face with not intentionally. It's a matter of his imperious gaze leads you naturally to his outstretched hand. Come on. Kings and sabers are so played out. Why not arm the good king's valiant steed instead? There seems to be just enough room between. The king won't know what he's missing. He stares straight.
Everything in order, detective?
Моя
You're
сабля.
really giving Philip III a stare.
This faithful steed is in a clear sky. Across the river, a few of the idle lorry drivers and strikebreakers gesture at you with their cigarettes. More out of curiosity than any. She yells a single word you can't make out, and then shuts the window with a violent thunk.
Ничего не получилось, это понятно. Сейчас сломает. Ну, я что говорил? Настроил.
You allow the broken hunk of metal
6-1.
to clatter to the ground.
Nine, Philip, what are you doing? The connection is even worse now. This is extremely unprofessional. That is because you broke it.
She's right.
Damn it. I'm going to push the power supply. I doubt it will last more than a
Просто
few
не
minutes,
хочу
so you
быть уже
better make them
извиняющимся
count.
закуп.
A maelstrom of sound, swirling
говоря,
and
жалким.
swirling around
Но, видимо,
an
я не изменю
invisible
его.
point. It's mounting.
Lieutenant Dubois?
It's too much. Your eardrum,
A long winter.
and then
Try it now.
This is Warship Archer.
Вау, все равно
We are
получилось.
acknowledging an
This is the best we can do. I suggest you get to your business quickly. I doubt I'll be able to make...
there is so much you wish you could ask, but you probably are.
Please be advised
Два.
that you are speaking on a public frequency. What is your request?
Так, а я могу эти вопросы задать все-таки или нет? Ну, давай вот
A
это вот
very
спросим.
important question with a beyond that. It may be said that we
Dolores Day. So beautiful.
immeasurable. It includes interstellar travel. The role of the Moralist International is twofold: to buy humanity
sufficient time to perfect itself, and to patiently guide it along the road while protecting it from
Так, ну
ideological
давайте
highwaymen
попробуем
and
все
escapologists.
вопросы эти задать. Надеюсь, все будет.
It's an elegant idea, one of the cornerstones of the modern era. In short, because no rational state is willing to accept the risk of such a calamity befalling its own people. All powers are incentivized. A state is like any other living thing. It wants to survive. It's an elegant idea, because for the most part, it has. The world is certainly not free of violent conflict. It was established by many of the same founding party members who elected Dolores Day, and who, after her assassination, dedicated their... There are many. The communists say they are the next dialectical step in an inexorable spiral of progress. They claim the fascists say they are both the ancestors of and the successors to Deloreanism. In other words, they believe that Dolores Day's reign simply represents... And then, there are our prodigal cousins, the Vazan Social Democrats, who hold our same values and have even adopted many of our same...
For some reason, it's the Social Democrats she sounds most exasperated with.
We don't resent them. It's more that we are disappointed.
She speaks of them like a family member she's...
But of course, they also remain dependable partners in an... The RCM exists under the umbrella of the coalition. At the same time, the RCM is not exactly of the coalition. It's our understanding that the RCM's organizational structure predates the coalition. We believe it may even be modeled after the communal brigades.
There is some truth to that.
But in a practical sense, it's the responsibility of the ethics divisions to ensure that both organizations are working towards the same ends. One now, committed to upholding moralist history, is a river coursing ever downward. At the same time, the RCM, we are not that familiar with RCM lore and practice, but we believe that...
There is some truth to that.
But in a practical sense, it's the responsibility because the coalition has no interest in running Revachol. We'll succeed in our own mission the moment Revachol rejoins the international community. Let us answer your question with a question. Have you ever seen evening fall over the old town of Vesperashit? If you have, then you would remember. It is one of the great wonders of the heart of the city. The old town is a district composed of weathered marble, comprising thousands of columns and arcades. But as the sun sets, the shadows cast by those columns and arcades weave together to...
The name at Vesperaskit means evening comes.
By thousands of people over many centuries, in keeping with the... Not only that, but you are also part of that centuries-long plan. When you cross one of the open plazas, your own shadows is effortlessly woven into the... Yes, it is. We grew up there. We have seen the lattice with our own... She was. There are even those who say that at Vesperashit, that's why the old town is sometimes called the ceremony. Of course, such a city does not spring from nowhere, nor does it endure without effort. About 3,000 years.
She really had that on the tip of her tongue. It's like she has the timeline laid out right in front of her.
That depends on how you look at it. Since the Pericarnashan incident, viewed from that perspective, we are...
I'm not joking, officer. I'll only be able to hold the signal open for a few more moments.
Is everything alright?
Ага. Стоп, это был один вопрос вот этот, да? Ой. Что-то я это... Мало, да? Ну ладно, давай.
Acknowledge. To reach the committee, if the liaison accepts your request, you will be invited to address the committee at their next quarterly public hearing.
She's got to be jerking your chain, right? You can't wait that long.
Чисто трезво. Занимался радиохулиганством, не желаешь расставаться с прошлым. 28%. Ничего не получится.
We're afraid that is quite impossible. We cannot transfer you to the committee because we are not entrusted with that responsibility. We are simply the second signaler. We're here, Lieutenant. Though we have to...
This line of argument is quite pointless. You should abandon it.
Not a problem. If this is a time-sensitive matter, they typically respond within a few weeks.
Ну, 28% ничего не выйдет, это же так понятно. Эмпатию я выше качнуть не могу, потому что не могу. Вот и все. Даже при том, что плюс 2 не дает ничего.
It's only because they haven't
Wow,
heard about
слушались.
your problems yet.
So, you're experiencing acute...
Oh God, here we go.
We're afraid we don't understand at all. What does this something have to do with your lost memory? We are sorry to hear of your loss. But now, please excuse us while we...
Quick, hang up on her first.
2, 1... Après le monde, le gris.
And the lieutenant gives a long
I think it's best for you to climb off the statue now, Detective. Your real work is down here.
The sun-warmed bronze tingles beneath you look around. The strikebreakers are still... There's really no point. You're beginning to...
Good. Now give me a hand with these amplifiers.
What's one more trip across the waterlock?
Вообще не знаю, зачем все это было, но ну да ладно.
Well, this was an interesting
Я
collaboration.
думал, он вообще хочет о другом доложить. Ну, либо из-за того, что неудача, ничего не получилось.
You decapitated our antenna. No, in any event, just leave that equipment here. Now you'll excuse me?
Нам наушники подогнали. Провалено, что там, да? Так, осталось вот это вот сделать. Затем вот это вот надо ночью. Ну и вот это вот потом тогда уж после всего этого. Ой, так. Теперь к чему я готовлюсь? К этому, да? Да, готовлюсь к этому. Значит, делать нечего, идем книжки читать, что ли. Эх. Так, ну я, кстати, ловушки все проверил, вроде бы, да? Я могу связаться как-то с ними? Они там назвали, по-моему, адрес какой-то. Может и номер, я не знаю. Я что-то провтыкал. Теперь кабеля эти на улицах будут валяться еще. Ага.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist
Ничего.
you? Just a moment.
10-4, come in, officer. Roger that. 10.
Ладно.
The display rack is... This is entirely, completely you.
It is a bestseller for a reason.
The edges of the pages are
Так,
worn.
ну это
The
как
jacket
уже
copy
пролистывал её.
proclaims he is ambushed by a tribe of... You open his arms whirling. Good God, this is some... You flip to the copyright page. This book was written in 38. Berserker rage burns. It man from Hyeom, the steel muscles of man from a passage read thine I have grant. This is beyond primitive. In the final, to find out what happens next, you'll have to pick up Man from Hyeom,
Ой.
the three-eyed
Все,
skull.
да. О, 2 часа. Времени
The
стало.
display rack. This is entirely complete.
Oh yes, certainly. Another good sale.
М,
The cover of this tattered paperback features the man from Yeomdar standing atop a pile of bloody corpses. His twos behind him rise the harsh, snow-capped peaks of his native Northlands. In bold red letters, the title, Yeomdala Man. These images speak to something burbling deep within you. The primal struggle of a bunch of violent apes. Just the back blurb reads, his latest adventure serves as the perfect introduction to the savage Heimdall saga. Meet Man from Heimdall. It below, in smaller font, you see the parenthetical. Adapted from Man, a brazen attempt to bilk fans for more money by splicing together old stories under a new title.
Понятно.
Their main concern is the continuation of the franchise, not make the story opens in media res. The Man from Heimdall and his band of northern reavers are in the bowels of an ancient temple, surrounded by an army of gibbering whites, led by the deathless. By nightfall, only the Man from Heimdall and his blood brother, noble Tyribald, are left standing against the dead horde. It is an honor to die by 9 Tyribald. The Man from Heimdall bellows over the army of flesh and bone. Have courage for the Northlands. For Heimdall. He leaps to the mezzanine. The writer has never held a sword in their life, let alone two two-handed swords at the same time. It is physically impossible for a human being to effectively dual-wield Zwei, and with deadly finesse, his twin blades scissor the necromancer's head from its body. The undead legions collapse like ragdolls as the dark magic leaves them, and the two Northmen stand alone. A few chapters later, the Man from Heimdall and Tyribald are in a completely different setting, high above an arid desert. This book makes a mockery of the very idea of good plotting. The Northmen find themselves in the court of a powerful southern king, Lord Hrothgar. The old king beseeches the Man from Heimdall to rid his kingdom of the Man from Heimdall extracts a high price from the desperate king. He asks land for the homeless desert pygmies living exiled in the kingdom's borderlands. Hrothgar offers the hand of his eldest daughter instead, but the son of winter does not budge. What do you mean? Because the flame of justice burns bright within his chest, because, above all, he's driven to bring honor to the name of his beloved. What do you mean? Is that all? He is the Man from Heimdall, forged in the fury of battle. Death was his sire, and blood his dam. He doesn't even have a real name. What is inside this man? Hey, nothing wrong with... The point is, why should you care about this character? Does he have any inner conflicts? He is the wildest man alive. The only mortal strong enough to wield the twin Zweihanders, Sturm and Drang. What are you, a book critic? Enough. You're ruining the pacing of the... What pace? You skip past a section detailing an elaborate banquet with many toasts, as well as the long and perilous journey from Hrothgar's keep to the ancient... In the center of the great hall stands a blood altar on which a pair of nectera are As the vile ceremony ends, the sound of steel unsheathing draws the nectera's attention. This is what you came for, isn't it? A climatic... Swiftly, the visitors toss off their cloaks and unsheath glimmering northern steel. It's the Man from... In an instant, the nectera summon a horde of gibbering orcanoids who rush our heroes. The hall fills with the clang of blades and the screams of the dying. Oh, for fuck's sake. When the din of battle settles, only the Man from Heimdall and Tyribald remain standing. Exhausted and dripping with the entrails of their foes, the two Northmen confront the foul nectera. The Man from Heimdall's soda-like blue eyes fill with indescribable... He probably is, but you can't be sure, cause this one ends in a cliffhanger and a footnote saying, to be continued. Considering the sheer amount of different Heimdallaman books out there, it's very unlikely. The Man from Heimdall stares at you on the cover.
Ну, эту книгу меньше, по-моему, времени ушло. Было же только 12, а на эту книгу ушло 2 часа. Эту все.
Blood and violence, scantily clad women. Epic, what does it matter if you're a novice of the series?
Rows and rows of Heimdallamen, maybe 100. Those snow crab, not even close.
Все, больше тут ничего нет. Такого уж прям чтобы.
A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of
Вирал за 25 монеток. Давайте лучше книги пока что какие-нибудь еще посмотрим.
shelves filled to the brim with crime novels
Книга про
featuring
Дика
the
Малинова.
supposed
Of course. Such violence and immorality.
Дело столетней давности.
In your hand, you hold Dick Mullen and the Mistaken Identity. The cover features a pastiche of different scenes. In the foreground, a man in a dark overcoat clutching. The tagline reads, Detective Dick Mullen must prove his innocence after an old friend is murdered by some...
Are you really reading that, detective? Good luck finding it. He's not much of a character, I think you'll find. Just...
The point is for the reader to feel like they're solving the crime, along with Dick Mullen. A crude narrative. The story opens with a knock at the door. Detective Dick Mullen is greeted by an old friend, Charlie Spillane, who's come to Mullen to ask if Spillane needs Mullen to drive him in from Vespa to a small town along the Elysium coast. Despite his friend's apparent agitation, Mullen does as he's asked, then returns home, where he passes out drunk. As he does, 2 days later, Mullen is arrested by the Vespa police and charged with the murder of Charlie Spillane. At his interrogation, Mullen learns, desperate to clear his name, Mullen manages to convince the Vespa police to release him for 3 days so that Mullen may solve his friend's murder and prove his innocence.
What's the matter, detective?
The lieutenant shrugs, resigned to the idea that his profession will rarely, if ever, be accurately represented in... Of course, Mullen didn't do it. That's the whole premise of the book. Anyway, Mullen returns to the seaside bar where Spillane was murdered. And not just any dame. She's truly one in a million. A knockout whose mind is as... Secrets are the currency of... Your secrets are unknown, even unto you. So does that make you a rich man? Deneuve reveals that she was Spillane's lover, and that he was mixed up with a local amphetamine smuggling operation.
Понятно.
As soon as not only is the local police captain in on the amphetamine ring, so is the son of a powerful politician and a strung-out art collector named Torvald, each of whom has his own reasons for wanting Spillane. Outwardly, the old police captain is a real law and order crypto-fascist, a barrel-chested man who's beaten his share of suspects to pulp. But he would certainly have the motive and the means. But the captain walks with a noticeable limp from an old war injury. Is it possible that he was able to... A typical privileged twat. In all likelihood, he's just in over his head. He does bear a personal grudge against Spillane, though. A former prosecutor who nearly... The kid doesn't exactly have Dick Mullen's manly build, but he is the correct height. And while interrogating him at his home, Mullen did notice a certain... Torvald, the art collector, is a strung-out mess. Frankly, it's hard to imagine him holding a pistol steady enough. That said, Torvald and Spillane have a long history, and while interrogating him, Mullen discovers that Torvald was once... One evening, Deanna Deneuve comes to Mullen's hostel room in tears. The two of them drink half a bottle of vodka, and soon they're seeking comfort in... Yes, comfort and pleasure. The warmth of another human's touch. The burning taste of liquor on her full, sweet lips. As the two lovers share a post-coital cigarette, Deanna Deneuve took the name of the true kid. Always aim for the center of mass. Whatever it is, Mullen never hears the words. A blow to the base of his skull knocks him out cold instantly. When Mullen comes to, Deneuve is dead on the hostel bed next to him. To make matters, Mullen trashes his blood-stained clothes and flees the hostel, knowing it's only a matter of hours before the cops discover Deneuve's body. If they haven't, the heat is on. If Dick Mullen can't solve both murders, can you solve the case before the cops close in? What is it, detective? There was never a time when he wasn't a detective. For a moment, you cease to read the story on the page and see the book for what it is. From nowhere, you hear the screech of sneakers on a waxed floor. You won't find the answers you're looking for here. There was never a time. Dick Mullen was made to crack skulls and solve cases. It's who he is. You're no target though, Harry. You're a man. For a moment, you cease to read from nowhere. You won't find the answers you're looking for here. It's a dangerous line of work, but somebody has to do it. What's the matter? Afraid you've been hacking up your friends' bodies in the night? Is it really so evil, detective? Like what? Do you even have those? Just make sure you don't lose him. But then, what does this book know? It's just a poorly made piece of pulp. God, is it really so? Then, why are you still here? What are you trying to prove? But then, what does this book know? Is it really so evil? Then, why are you? Just make sure you don't. But then, is it really so then, why are you still here? What are you? But then, what does this? So, who did it, detective? Who killed Charlie Spillane and Deanna Deneuve?
За що?
What? That doesn't even make sense. There's never a straight answer with. Now go on. Find out who. You begin furiously flipping through pages. Even as you know these books follow a series of well-worn tropes, you find yourself complete. You try to grab the pages as they come loose, but your fingers. Dozens of pages scatter across the floor. The last fifth or so of the book seems to have been lost. It's possible that you could gather and
Ah, yes. The problem with mass-market paperbacks. Then perhaps this is a sign that you should get back to...
Don't forget, it could have been the... In your hand, you hold 4/5 of Dick Mullen, and why? There's truly no point. If you insist, the story opens with a knock. Spillane needs Mullen to drive him in from 2 days, desperate to clear his name. Mullen...
What's the matter, detective?
The lieutenant... Of course, Mullen didn't do it. That Deneuve... Not only is the local police captain in on the... One evening... Yes. Comfort and... As the two lovers share up the name of the truth, always... Whatever it is. Mullen, who can you trust in this wicked, messed up world? The lieutenant gives you when Mullen comes to Mullen trip the heat, and you'll never know what happens because the rest of the book is gone. What makes you think this isn't the final Dick Mullen case? How do you know this isn't this could go on forever? In your hand, you hold
Так, дочитали, ура, победа. О.
Motorway South. The lone vector stretches in your mind's eye into the wild pale yonder, for an unimaginable distance, forgetting the Insulindian miracle.
Ой, еще одно.
It's easy. You know the poem by heart because you were taught it at school. It is one of the Volta Dolmar mantras repeated on the voyage that lead to the discovery of the Insulindian Isola, and the words mean nothing.
Понятно. Так, чё дает? Все... А это как? Как это работает? Все белые проверки разблокированы. Типа вот у меня есть... Чё есть? Ничего у меня нет. Я думал, у меня есть что-то такое. Во, моторика. Все белые проверки разблокированы. А тут все. То есть вот это не нужно. Да? Тут просто плакаты, да, плюс. Интеллект, все белые проверки разблокированы. Плюс одна внутренняя империя еще. Понятно.
Shelves filled to...
Так, ну тут больше книг нет. Опа, опа.
Shelves full of biographies of...
Подожди. Не появится, да? А вот.
Shelves full of biographies of famous people.
A true cultural touchstone.
Как потратить все деньги, да?
Several maps. The maps look old. This bookstore is not strict.
Так, ну тут ничего не купить. Мне осталось только в самом низу вот это вот что-нибудь покупать. тобой не о чем поговорить, да?
Hello again, esteemed
ну-ка.
officer, and welcome to Crime. Oh, I'm very sorry, sir. Some of these old paperbacks just don't have the durability. I would be happy to sell you another one.
Понятно. Жуан Паоло Саломао Лопес де Фуэго. Понятно.
The Greatest Innocence by Joao. Browsing through the various chapters, you try your best to understand the ceaseless overflow, the sprawl. You can do it. It'll be your educational survey is done. Did you catch any of that? No. Oh well.
А уж что
It's
же я
pop
усвоил,
quiz
когда мне
time.
ничего...
Let's see. That's the spirit. Here we go. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I was made for. A pop quiz is a short examination designed. Thanks for enough. Dolores Day.
А
Dolores.
разве она первый?
Incorrect. Dolores Day was the innocence of humanism. Her colors are silver, white, and apricot. And when you think her name, Dolores, stomach, steer clear of this one. There's something to a strange sensation of loss. When she left the earth, the dust, yes, the quiz is impersonal. No need to rouse sensations in yourself at the mention of Dolores Day. Who? Correct. Nothing much is known about him. It's not even clear that he was a he, but Franco Negro presumed as such and called him Pius. He's depicted as a young man with molten gold. As the first innocence, he declared that there should be more of those like him. Question 2. Who? Easy. Everybody knows the answer to this. You, me, anybody. And innocence is the highest category of historical personage in the world. A literal personification of history. I can do better. Okay, so commonly an innocence does not enforce his or her power through military power. Damn, Dolores.
Франко
Correct.
Негро. Я так и
Named
знал.
the innocence of militarism. He codified hereditary rule, but at the same time ended serfdom. And Franco Negro attempted to solve the rising tensions between the aristocracy and bourgeoisie by building a question 3. Who got it under control?
Yeah.
No problem. Solid on this one. It's, yes, there exists a group called the Founding Party, known as the Holy Party, during the time of the Periconation. This, the world's oldest there seems to be a mix-up with the source. At least it clearly wasn't Dolores Day. She wouldn't be false. She's beautiful.
Степан презренный. Ну-ка.
No, stop thinking it. I said it wasn't her. She
Перевел
was true.
Пастернак. Ну, Степан презренный?
Incorrect.
Нет.
Stepan the Despicable, regent of Kedra, was a ruler who conquered the known world during the Kedriatic conquest, instead of the despotic
Спустивший...
Eremno
Ну,
Pasternak.
видимо,
Would you
Огнё
try?
Пастернак.
Correct. There have been a number of counter or false innocences, some assumed to have innocentic qualities, some who just... The most famous and important of these was Eremno Pasternak. He was into torture,
Почему Степан
despotism,
презренный?
hymns, final
Ладно.
stretch. You've come so far and learned so much. This is the most... I've got it, honest. Of course, this is my thing. The reason I exist in this, zero doubt, while it was actually her.
Это Франко Негро.
Incorrect. While Franco Negro built concrete
Обман.
churches and cathedrals,
На
and while
каждом
many
шагу.
people, especially the Mesk, oh yes,
можно всё
militarism and national, yes, obviously. Incorrect. He was a violent bastard, out to torture, maim, and kill whoever stood in his way. He,
Ну,
correct.
ладно.
The Mesk might see Franco Negro as the father of nations, but as of this century, everything from inter-esolary travel to the connected world to and more beautiful. Congratulations on finishing a D. Not particularly remarkable. You would have done better if you just left Dolores Day for the end. Dial the Dolores Day down a bit.
Под конец.
What's
проиграл.
going on with you? Okay.
You are shouting at an inanimate object, like a real weirdo. No, browsing through, you can do it. Your educational survey is done. Did you catch it? Seem, oh yeah, this is what I was made for. Correct.
Давайте все
As
правильно
the
ответим.
question easy, everybody knows the answer to this. Correct. Franco Negro at question got it under control. No problem. Correct. The most final, I've got it. Honest. Correct. Everything and more beautiful. Congratulations on finishing an A. All correct. You really navigated some treacherous waters here. Well done. The lieutenant is doing his... Yeah, sure. It's so much easier once you know the answers, right?
Нет.
Browsing through the book again. You can do it. Your education, it seemed... Oh yeah. This is incorrect. Solar was anointed during the previous century and even lived to see the current one. She was an urban planner who spoke her mind and largely left history. Solar resigned after an assassination attempt by a Yugo nationalist who blamed her for not taking the side of the left during the turn of the century. Incorrect. Her colors are... Steer clear of this one. There's some... Yes, the quiz is impersonal. No need to rouse sensations in your... Correct. As the question easy, everybody knows incorrect. Vespa Messina is not a person, but incorrect again. While she originated many modern institutions, launched even though the words most associated with her rule are l'amour, please, relax. Correct. Franco Negro. Question 3. Got it under control. Incorrect. Kedra is a large nation in the mid-northern area. Incorrect. No. Stop. Correct. The most final I've got it. Honest. Incorrect. Oh yes. Yes. Oh, incorrect. Correct. The met everything from and more beauty. Congratulations. A D. Not you would have done, but endless tries aren't really.
Я думал, будет еще ниже. Ну ладно. Так, оп. Что, закупимся еще этими играми?
A
Посмотрим,
small
что они из себя
mountain of
представляют.
colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for...
Сюзеренитет.
Wonderful choice, sir. A wholesome fact.
Что это вообще? Для чего она мне? Новая
In your
ветка,
hands,
геноцид.
you hold a brand. The cover features a charming illustration depicting a mass of grinning laborers loading goods. The exact location and time period are left deliberately vague, but it's clearly meant to represent the economic relationship between the box has a nice heft to it. You hear the rattle of individual wooden... What treasures wait? Even before you open it, you can tell that this will be a meaty game. The plastic wrap rips off as easily as there's a hiss as the lid slides off. Inside, you find a thick, full-color rulebook. Savor that new board game smell. A mix of wood, paper, and ink, all wrapped in the... Welcome to Suzerainty, a game of economic strategy for the whole family. The rulebook is sumptuously illustrated and thick as a Gradian novel. The colorful illustrations depict cheerful workers picking apricots, hauling marble sculptures out of crumbling temple. You begin to suspect there may be a political agenda to this. The instructions are opaque at first, and you soon figure out the basic conceit. Each player represents an administrator for the suzerain of Revachol. Your objective is to increase the suzerain's wealth and that's where the suzerain's vassals come in. The game features 4 each turn, the player collects resources from vassals where they've placed workers. They may then rearrange their workers. As you leaf through the pages, your eye catches on a sidebar labeled Advice. Remember, there are many paths to victory in suzerainty. But boring, boring, boring. Tear up this rulebook and commit some old-school atrocities. The actual scoring system appears infinitely complex, with a series of tables and appendices required. Welcome to Suzerainty, a game. The instructions, you soon figure out the basic conceit. Each player represents there is no path to wealth and renown. but through the suzerain. That's where the suzerain's vassals each turn as you leaf through the pages. Yeah, remember, boring. Suzerainty is a family game. The only atrocities you'll be committing are against the social. The actual scoring system appears infinitely complex, with a series of tables and appendices required to you open up a number of pouches containing wooden tokens. There are also several punch boards with other cardboard components. In addition to the worker and building tokens used by each player, there are also several piles from the Empire of Safre, orange apricot tokens, from Ilmarat, the ancestral name of Ilmara, grey marble block tokens.
Oh, those are nice.
Each cardboard token makes a satisfying as you...
What? You're not going to offer to let me pen?
You hold the open game box. The lieutenant looks over the rulebook.
Holy shit. The average playing time for this game is 1 to... I'm not sure we can afford to set aside that kind of time for a game.
Завораживающие игровые принадлежности. Ну ладно, попозже. Сейчас. 6 минут осталось, кстати. Оденемся во внушение, если что, сразу. Или не стоит, попозже. Сейчас надо будет пистолет идти забирать. Пока что можем еще вот эту игру купить. Я... У тебя магазин разбогател просто от меня. Потратил 50 реалов где-то.
Large letters on the front form a title. Wirral. The colorful box is illustrated with bucolic vistas. The cover art also features odd-looking human. Text underneath the title in smaller typeface reads, 3rd edition, Mega Setting Supplements Module. The side panel adds a blurb on the back reads, tired of the tedium and toil of modern life? Escape to Wirral. Leave behind. Succumb to a world of high pastel fantasy. Unleash your imagination and create an adventure of endless possibilities. Discover the terrible sea. Exactly. That's the spirit. All you have to do is read. In no time, you could be romping through grasslands with low-level characters, hunted by Iskala riders, or battling unspeakable.
Так, все, пока что на этом остановимся. Надо сходить за пистолетом. Магазин теперь закрыть. Так, ладно. Побежали. Нет, не сюда все. Вроде бы. А. Ага. Понятно.
Show me your hands. This is the pigs.
Scavenged, battery-powered police lights protrude from her back. The flickering. Her hand is trembling from some sort of neurodegenerative.
Madame, please drop the firearm immediately.
You shouldn't be here. Something's very wrong with her. She's completely out of control.
Failure to comply. Suspect is displaying aggression.
Her eyes bulge with terror.
I am the police. Don't move. Don't move. Hands on your head. Suspect is armed and dangerous. Lateral vascular neck restraint. Carotid sleeper. Carotid sleeper. Critically reducing blood from passing through the neck.
Be careful, detective. Don't do anything that might set her off.
Back up! Back up! Status unconfirmed!
No. Oh, no. No. I thought Mr. Moran. Gareth.
There's a scenario unfolding in her head right now.
What's the situation, officer?
Law enforcement compromised! Impersonating a police officer!
Does she not believe you two are actually police officers?
License and registration! License and registration! Commander
Окровавленный динамик.
Sector!
It's not a code, just disjointed. She's losing it. One twitch and there would be blood.
+1 это мусорка.
Officer in need of assistance! Suspect!
Ma'am, please. We want to help you, but you need to lower that weapon.
Disturbance reported. Authorized deadly force.
Big red key. That's code for the battering ram. Cop talk. You know this.
It's the goddamn police shitbag!
As she waves her hands, you notice familiar looking ampoules and packets sticking out of the mountain of police gear on her.
Confiscated contraband! Restricted access! 2 kilo!
I don't think she's on drugs. Being off drugs might actually be the problem here.
She's frantic, confused.
Еще раз.
Put your hands where I
За
can
что?
see
Чё?
Show me your...
Scabbing her hand.
Madame, please drop the...
You shouldn't be here. Her eyes but
I am the police! Don't move! Lateral vascular neck restraint!
Be careful, detective. Don't do anything that might set her...
Back up!
No.
there's a
What's the situation?
Law enforcement!
Does she not believe you two are actually...
License!
It's not... She's losing it. One twitch and there would be blood.
It's the goddamn police shitbag!
As she waves her hands,
I don't think she's on drugs.
Officer in need of assistance!
Ma'am, please.
Disturbance report.
big red key. That's...
We can't leave. A delirious civilian is pointing firearm at us. Your officer. There is no way I'm leaving it like this.
The lieutenant nods. It's alright.
Я просто хотел
This
отойти
is
от
how
нее.
you do it. You hurl the tear bag in her face, already darting right, and immediately, fingers locked behind her head. Knee to the face. Knee to the face. No, that won't be necessary. Look closer. The gun, all 3 barrels, red and blue light shining through. It's not loaded.
What? This isn't police issue. Police weapons have bullets. Police gun barrels have bullets. What is this? Why did you sell me this?
Grab the gun. Right now. This might be your only...
No one ever cares anymore.
This limbed and headed machine of pain and undignified suffering.
Poor woman. We need to figure out what to do with her now.
Надо ее отправить куда-нибудь в психушку просто, ну и все. Жаль ее.
Ever comes to visit me.
She's in a stupor. I've seen this before. God knows for how long. Could be days when they get like... Honestly, I don't know. Dementia, probably. Dementia and Channel 8. And loneliness. Could be. Her hands were trembling and she did seem uncoordinated. But what are we gonna do with her?
Her scratched skin is warm to the touch, but...
I don't think there's any need for that. In her... We could let Titus know. This is a perfect problem for the local peacekeepers to handle. They might even know her family. That would just be a waste of paper. I mean, look at her. She's not going to respond to a station slip. Okay, that settles it. I'll contact my station after we wrap it. But I think we're done here for now.
Please. Leave the radio on.
Reflex to what? She stands motionless. Just a heap of clothes and... The woman stands slumped. It's one of those things, there were narcotics in there too. you're thinking of taking them, do. She doesn't even flinch as you...
Oh, is that yours? It's your hat.
The old woman doesn't react to your touch. The woman's is one of the... There were narcotics. You take the file of Pyrrolidon and the bottle. She didn't consume them. She didn't look high. You listen to him for once.
Thank you. I'm doing this to help you. We need to...
He's grateful you did this.
Так вот. Плюс фуражка. Плюс авторитет. Плохо так. А я с этим похожу, который сейчас на мне, пожалуй. Померил. Ну-ка, еще. Да все, у меня нет ничего больше из одежды этой. Типа, ладно. Я думал переодеться максимально в полицейского. А видимо нет. Так, забыл броню надеть. Все это время без брони бегал. Ага. Надо с классией осталось поговорить. 4 очка навыков. Неплохо так. Может, авторитет повысить? Давайте авторитет себе поднимем. Плюс 1, минус 1. Можно это еще поднять. Энциклопедию, кстати, на максималочку, которую я могу. Грубую силу. Не знаю, стоит ли еще больше повышать. Может, на максимум. Давайте максимум. Вот так вот сделаем, все. Так, теперь типа на сон. Но надо зайти к классие. Я надеюсь, что она там теперь будет хотя бы. Потому что если нет, это будет не очень.
It's getting cold.
Good night, officer.
Все, побежали. Оп, что за мысль? Позиционная решетка, понятно. Пожалуйста, о, она там. Здесь никуда не исчезнет. Сразу сюда, опа.
As you look back, you think, so love did do him in. If it weren't for her, he would not have been there. The shot would not have connected with... She's silent. Holding... It appears this one has not been entirely corrupted. This may help. This may help.
Yeah. I'd like to think he didn't love me. Or that it was chemically easier that way. I don't know. I was just thinking, what... yes. The night before I saw you in the hallway and reminded you...
The date of your re-entry into the fossil record.
Wow. Mythopoetically adequate stuff. There was the usual ruckus. I can't say. Probably not. Oh, yes. Various artists. Ostentatious orchestrations prime among them.
Oh, that? Yeah. Whoa. The less said about OO, the better.
OO were huge where I come from. I was very young then, of course. Like 7. Life gets hard, but we go on. I don't know about that. At around 2 o'clock, the disco stopped, and a slow, sad song started playing. Like organ music on repeat. That went on for quite a while. Some of that it doesn't matter anymore, and that we're alone now. It was difficult to tell. The song itself was very quiet and soft, but you sounded like a wounded boar, sir. It was hard to understand what you were singing on top of it. Then you started screaming and trashed the place. No, it didn't sound like there was a fight. It sounded a window was smashed, the tape player probably, the song stopped. And furniture too. A real destructathon. There was screaming. There was. I think you screamed that you didn't want to. I went out afterwards. Everything was quiet by then. No problem, sir.
Ура, победа. Так, все, теперь задание, которое только дальше можно узнать. Следовательно, по идее, можно и к этой... Как его? К Руби идти, искать ее. Но, видимо, она еще один день подождет, потому что Ким ушел спать. А без него я не пойду. А не, я могу, да.
The lieutenant's door, no response. What are you doing? Still, where is he? Is he not worried that doesn't he want to go? Anything to not face the hanged disco man yet. You hear the sound of a drawer.
Is that you, Harry? What time is it? To clear our... Good night, Harry.
Время для ночной беседы с Кимом. Он ведь наверняка не против.
The lieutenant's door is...
Ладно, видимо, если отправить его спать, то он уйдет спать надолго. Так, ну там дверь в комнату его. С ней непонятно, что делать, ну ладно. Странно, что вообще комнаты соединены. Ну ладно. Кстати, полный зал. В час ночи буквально.
Hey, was there another thing? Great. Yes.
И о чем говорить нам? А, тут эти ушли, да. Двое, которые тут стояли, сидели. Так.
Hi again, gendarme. You did? And how did you like him? I told you he can be very... Bye-bye, gendarme.
Так, ты...
The Copper NATO is back. What do you want? Yeah, by friends.
Wouldn't want to beat up his grandma.
Nervous, snickering. There's a rush of adrenaline present.
Let them come. The Hardy Boys are right.
You heard the man. Right here. We're armed.
Yeah. A well-oiled murder machine.
The mood is on the rise. They're feeling confident, ready to punch out the whole Merc platoon.
We got weapons of our own. We got Ester 50s, Zeelagers, Glen. I guess we're gonna see. Yeah, like you've been up against ceramic armor. You haven't even seen the whole suit, right? I've seen the whole fucking thing. And the fuck is that supposed to mean?
We're not bees. We're men.
Easy, E. He's trying to phase you. What are you trying to do? So are the local gangs.
Yeah. What are they now, huh? Big
fucking surprise. They hire psycho scum.
He's really prepped himself up for this. He has to.
What do you mean? Okay. No, they won't. Get out of here.
He really doesn't like you ruffling their feathers like that.
О, не зря авторитет покачал, да?
No wonder you cops get shot to shit every day. Can't go to war. Yeah.
Ну, сообщил информацию. Так, все, побежали. На сон. Так. Что у меня по этим? Может забыть что-нибудь, чтобы что-нибудь новое изучить. Лимит всех навыков интеллекта повышается на +1. Так-то не особо надо. Плюс 1 очко опыта за каждую проверенную сферу. Ну ладно. Даже не знаю. Риторика, лимит улучшения повышается. Я ее даже не качал. Ага. Мне, кстати, риторику надо все-таки прокачать, наверное. Белый трау. Но это нельзя удалять, потому что у меня скорость реакции сбросится, наверное, на 1 очко. Я думаю. Короче, пока что мы ничего не трогаем. Что, у меня броня-то надета, да? Ну да. У меня еще нет шлема. Шлема нет. Ботинки я, конечно, не найду и такие. Но шляпы у меня нет. То есть я не знаю, где ее искать. Или ее нет. Пригодится, когда отступать уже некуда. Сделаем вот так.
Holding the gun feels natural and satisfying. It's like an extension of your arm. It reminds you of the day you first held it, with fear and respect, hoping you don't have to use it in vain. But this is your gun. It's more of a symbol than anything else, because there is always.
Пожалуй, из рук я его убирать не буду. Да. Я, кстати, так и не сходил там, где Аха умер. А, нет, я сходил за его мундиром, да, точно. Я так и не понял, чего он умер. Там что-то про лямку было. Я думал, он повесился того.
It's easier this time. Drifting off your head.
This respite. You've earned it, brother. No, this is the one before that.
Enjoy it while it...
You're welcome, Harry.
After centuries of darkness, the alarm rings.
Go. Давай, вставай. Опа. Вот так вот головой повертел. Да давай уже, все, хорош спать. Что он на стуле-то сидит в этот момент? Можно еще сообщить о том, что мы оружие нашли, кстати. И обратно бежать. Ну, побежали обратно, сообщим о том, что мы оружие нашли. Вы знаете, давайте мы об этом уже позже сообщим, а на этом мы пока закончим. Что же, всем пока.